Thanks for listening to Middle Aged and Mediocre. I'm Cash.
I'm Joel.
And we are a podcast about all things strange and unusual, death and UFOs, and other creepy,
cults,
weird, random
ghosts.
There you go.
Yeah. Not just naming things in the room.
Oh my god.
There's a cult of ghosts.
The 80s. Supposedly, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, and George Bush were all presidents of the United States. But the only president we acknowledged was WWF President Jack Tunney. It was the decade of glam rock, hair metal, acid-washed jeans, Hulk Hogan, the Nintendo Entertainment System, DeLoreans, and Bird vs. Magic in the NBA. Family sitcoms like Full House, Growing Pains, Family Ties, and ALF dominated television alongside Saturday morning cartoons like Muppet Babies, DuckTales, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, Jim, Rainbow Bright, Thundercats, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Garfield and Friends, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, Adventures of the Gummy Bears, Dino Saucers, Voltron, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, The Care Bears, Mr. T, The Transformers, The Real Ghostbusters, She-Ra, The Super Mario Bros. Super Show, Beetlejuice, Silverhawks, Centurions, The Smurfs, Mask, Defenders of the Earth, and Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling, and probably somewhere in the neighborhood of a billion more. The resurgence of 80s nostalgia began sometime in the early 2000s, but for myself and Joel, we lived the 80s, man. It could be argued that the 80s is when pulp culture was truly born. There's just something about the decade that persists to this day. The bright collars, the technological advancements, the dawn of MTV. The list goes on, but the point is, the 80s seem to remain a magical time in a lot of people's lives. While it's possibly just a magic trick, an illusion rooted in nostalgia, there's no doubt that its impact on our culture can still be found everywhere you look. You're listening to Middle Aged Mediocre. I'm Cash.
I remember. I'm Joel.
And this is our top 10 80s movies.
I remember that stuff. That was a lot.
What's going on?
That was the episode. You mentioned every cartoon ever
There were
made.
so many more cartoons I didn't list. I had to be like, somewhere I have to stop listing cartoons.
That was Saturday mornings were lit.
I don't know how many of those were actually on Saturday mornings,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you get what I'm saying. I forgot that cartoons used to be on daily.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I forgot like this, a new episode every day.
They didn't have a channel. Back in my day, was Cartoon Network even around still? Did that stop?
Cartoon Network's still around.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Still doing its thing.
Good. It wasn't from the 80s.
Well, alongside family sitcoms and cartoons, shows like Murder, She Wrote, Dynasty, Knight Rider, The A-Team, Three's Company, Saved by the Bell, MacGyver, Miami Vice, Cheers, and The Golden Girls remain beloved classics to this day. The aforementioned MTV gave the world music videos on television.
What?
For Michael Jackson's Thriller, Bon Jovi's Wanted Dead or Alive, Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses, Take On Me by Aha, Madonna's Like a Prayer, Def Leppard's Pour Some Sugar on Me, Janet Jackson's Nasty, and hundreds of more hits.
I remember the Just for Prayers, or the Madonna, what'd you say it was?
Like a Prayer.
Yeah, that was that the one that debuted like on Fox or something, and she had the Black Jesus?
Possibly. I know she did it at the MTV Music Awards, like, where she was, or no, it was like a, she did Like a Prayer too, and Like a Virgin another year.
Yeah.
The video game industry existed before the 80s, but it wasn't until the 80s that it exploded into the mainstream. The NES was released in North America on October 18th, 1985, with 17 launch titles, including 10-Yard Fight, Duck Hunt, Excitebike, Ice Climber, Kung Fu, Wrecking Crew, and a little-known game about a turtle-hating plumber named Mario.
I got mine in 1990, I think.
1990. I had the Nintendo definitely by like by 87, 88 probably.
Yeah.
I got the Mario and Duck Hunt combo. The Sega Genesis would follow shortly after, doing what Nintendo don't. Being released in the U.S. on August 14th, 1989, with 8 titles.
Oh, 89.
Alex Kidd and the Enchanted Castle, Altered Beast, Ghouls and Ghosts, Golden Axe, Last Battle,
Hell yeah.
Space Harrier 2,
Sega was the shit.
Thunder Force 2, and Tommy Lasorda Baseball. Possibly more so than TV shows, the music, the video games, more so than anything else from the 80s. It was the films of the 80s that shaped so many of us. The 80s were the decade our modern conception of what a blockbuster is, when it should be released, and how it should be marketed took definite shape. Perhaps most importantly, the 80s killed the old Hollywood idea that lightning couldn't strike twice. Old school studio moguls saw films as individual commodities, each a separate gamble. A sequel or remake would only be a vain attempt to stem the tide of folks clamoring for something new. They didn't want to make last year's movie, they wanted to make next year's. By the 80s, unstoppable sequels such as The Empire Strikes Back and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom were proving that fan-favorite follow-ups, with their locked-in audience and proven intellectual property, were the future. Ever since, the film franchise, rather than single series, has become the norm. For those who grew up in the 80s, this reinforcement of what exactly consisted our pop canon meant unprecedented exposure to the characters their TVs and movie screens were making them attached to. Not only did they go to the movies and enjoy Ghostbusters in '84, they could count on Ghostbusters 2 and the real Ghostbusters to be there.
Ghostbusters 2 was fucking pretty good.
It was awesome.
That made my list.
The invention of VHS meant the cinema wasn't the final destination for a film.
VHS!
Either. We're going to talk about some of
Okay.
those. I know you got one or two.
Yeah, I like him.
VHS was the jumping off point into living rooms across the country. Characters are no longer simply the ones we saw on the big screen. They became our babysitters and our best friends.
Yep.
Children effectively raised by their pulp culture heroes are now old enough to make movies of their own, and because of the financial risk involved with creating major studio release, the films they are increasingly being asked to create are throwbacks or reboots of the content they consumed as kids. These factors, innovation in the 80s film industry, 80s kids reaching their creative peaks, and the film industry's constant fear of gambling on anything new, has created a perfect storm of 80s nostalgia. It's with that nostalgia in mind that we are going to be looking back at our top 10 favorite movies from the 80s. Joel's made a list of his 5, and I've picked 5 of mine. We based our choices off of films that we enjoyed at the time, leaving behind the movies from the 80s that we watched later in life and became fans of. We'll cover Joel's 5 picks in part 1 and my 5 picks in part 2. We hope you will enjoy revisiting the 80s with us, and make sure you let us know what your favorite movies were when you were living life in the 80s.
Yeah.
Or if you didn't live in the 80s, what if you went back and watched?
You're not middle-aged.
Yeah.
Guitar solo. Put a guitar solo right there.
Wow.
Something better than that.
I don't know. That's the best I got. So, yeah, we got your 5. It just happened to work out where I just started with yours, doing the write-ups on them.
Uh-huh.
And by the time I got through your
You
list,
just want to save yours, make you a bigger deal.
I was like, this is going to be the longest episode ever if we do all of these at once.
Especially with the honorable mentions. It was so hard to do 5.
Before we get into your top 5, what are your honorable? Because this was, I had like 15 that I started with.
I kept
Only one of yours
was
was on my list too, so that was, I could take it off mine.
I kept adding to it. I would just keep thinking of other movies. But the honorable mentions, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Of course.
I mean, I'm a big Friday the 13th fan now. But, like, as a kid in the 80s, I was born in 79. Like, I remember watching the first one. I remember those ones coming out being a bigger deal. And, like, the older I got and watching more of the Jason movies, you know, he took over as my favorite. But
I know
honorable mention is definitely, I can remember watching the first one just scaring the hell out of me not sleeping that night.
I could definitely have probably added that to mine, because I remember watching it in the 80s.
Yeah.
But, like, 'cause my dad would let me watch horror movies with him. But I don't think I really, like, appreciated horror movies until probably sometime in the 90s.
Okay. Well, that's honorable mention. Jerk. It didn't make the list because it was actually made in 79. But that's something I watched with my dad a lot in the 80s. It was a big 80s movie.
Is that the one where he has the big nose? Or is that
no,
a different movie?
that's Roxanne. Jerk is where he was born a poor black man.
That's right.
And he's just the world's biggest idiot, and he works at the gas station.
Does it see with the tin cans?
Yeah, and the guy's trying to shoot him, and he keeps shooting the cans. And the guy's, someone's shooting the cans! And
yeah, okay.
Steve Martin's just the best. That movie. And 87 Lost Boys.
Okay.
That's honorable mention just because I remember watching it as a kid, being excited about watching it. It had the Corys in it.
Well, you can only have so many Corey movies on your list.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. I don't want to have 2 Corey movies.
Well,
I mean, you can't talk about the 80s. 3. One of them only had 1 Corey.
Yeah.
Okay, if the other one was in there somewhere, it could be a Corey's movie. That's not a Corey movie.
Okay.
All right, he just happens to be part of the recipe that is the movie. But yeah, Lost Boys was so good to me. When I was a kid, you know, just
Lost Boys is definitely one I didn't appreciate till the 90s.
I
don't know if I watched it in the 80s or not, but
I did.
Definitely went back in the 90s when I was probably, when I was 10, 11.
Yeah. But that's why they didn't make the list, but I wanted them to.
Any more honorable mentions?
No, just 3. I kept it to 3. I mean, I like so many other movies from the 80s, though.
So you have, just for a little interesting thing here, I sent you my list.
Yeah.
What do you think, if you had to pick 5 off my list that I picked, what 5 do you think?
Let me bring it back up here.
And we won't know till part 2.
Yeah, we won't know. I would say that you probably picked Howard the Duck, Land Before Time, Temple of Doom. So you've already made them, so you can't change them, right?
I already got them written down.
All right. So Temple of Doom, Howard the Duck. What'd I say for that? Uncle
Those
Buck.
are only 2 you said.
Okay, Uncle Buck,
Okay.
Little Monsters, G.I. Joe the movie.
Okay, you got 2 of them.
Oh.
So, well, okay. And those were all, the 3 that I didn't go with were very hard to go with. I had to really do some soul searching.
Yeah, there's a lot of good movies. Like Ferris Bueller's Days Off didn't make my list, but that was a huge movie for me in the 80s.
Well, then the more I was like trying to remember everything I watched and was like just Googling 80s movies to try to refresh my memory, just more and more. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that one. Oh yeah, that one.
Breakfast Club.
But these were the ones that, the ones I did, the 5 I did, I remember were like, I watched them constantly.
Yeah.
I think the only one that which there's a reason why I'm not gonna add this one to my list, and we'll get to that later. But the only one that I could have put on my list that I didn't, because I did watch it daily probably, was the Masters of the Universe movie.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be a reason we don't cover that one in part 1 or part 2.
Oh.
But let's go ahead and get into your first one.
It was Masters of the Universe. Cover it now, but
Son
no.
of a bitch.
Well, I'll start number 5.
Well, I have.
Do you? Okay, you have a list. You start where you want.
So we're gonna start with License to Drive.
Okay, that was my number 1 movie from the 80s.
So released on July 6, 1988 by 20th Century Fox, License to Drive stars Corey Haim as his Coreyest and his Haimest as teenager Les Anderson, who wants nothing more than his driver's license so he can have freedom and girls. Heather Graham plays love interest.
Heather Graham. I mean, at the time, you didn't realize that was going to be Roller Skate Girl.
Do you remember her name in the movie?
Mercedes.
Last name?
Oh, I don't remember the last name.
We're going full bore car puns with this.
Yeah.
Mercedes Lanes.
Oh, my goodness.
Who has a boyfriend named Paolo, who drives a Ferrari.
Oh, yeah, he does.
If you could see one Corey in the 80s, the other Corey wasn't far behind, as Corey Feldman plays Les's friend Dean. Hijinks ensue as Les, Mercedes, Dean, and their buddy Charles have a wild night out, swerving in and out of trouble, including being pursued by a relentless DMV inspector and a tow truck driver with a grudge, while also being mistaken for a luxury car thief. And here's the twist. Throughout the duration of the movie, Les is never licensed to drive.
He failed.
With an estimated budget of $8 million, License to Drive grossed over $22 million worldwide. And would be the second of
Half of that was just me written as a kid. I watched it a lot.
It would be the second of 8 films that the two Coreys appeared in together.
Wow,
Other titles
8?
include Lost Boys, Dream a Little Dream, Blown Away,
Good one.
National Lampoon's Last Resort,
Never seen it.
Dream a Little Dream 2, Busted, and Lost Boys: The Tribe. And that one's a little iffy because Corey Haim doesn't appear until the end credits.
Yeah.
But they both are in it. Neither Corey Feldman nor Corey Haim had a driver's license when filming started. License to Drive would mark the 4th occasion at the time when Corey Haim would beat out Corey Feldman for the lead role in the film that they were both auditioning for, with Lost Boys, Lucas, and Murphy's Romance being the previous 3. License to Drive features music from Billy Ocean, New Edition, and DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
It had a really good soundtrack.
It currently holds a 24% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm going to every single one of those houses and voted thumbs down for that.
And Robert Ebert gave it
crying.
2.5 out of 4 stars.
That's not bad.
Not bad. Describing it as more than passable summer entertainment, especially when it identifies with the yearnings of its young heroes to get behind the wheel.
Yep.
He said that the first half of the film was very funny, but the second half was much more predictable. Yeah. License to Drive is currently available to stream on Starz and can, of course, be purchased on DVD and Blu-ray.
I have it on VHS.
Or if you go out into the wild or eBay, you can find it on VHS.
Or come to my house. We'll watch
or go to Joel's house. Go to Joel Buster.
I don't have the case. I just have the tape.
I saw it. I think it's one of the ones that has it written on it.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw it there.
But I'm still happy to get it.
So, License to Drive, I have not watched in probably 30 years.
It's just such an 80s movie. It's 90 minutes. It's just, what's the worst that could happen? And
I remember the part where I remember Heather Graham's character, Mercedes, like, she just gets, like, totally hammered, doesn't she?
Ends up in the trunk.
Yeah.
The cops, like, catch him, but, like, oh, there's a shooting downtown. We gotta go. He's like, oh, it's your lucky night, mister. Mister, I got a girl.
Because there's only one cop.
Yeah. Well, there's two. One drove by. He couldn't have called anybody else. Like, we're gonna leave you with this girl locked in your trunk, but
you know.
Get home.
I don't remember a whole lot else. Like, I vaguely remember the end where he, like, jumps in her car.
Yeah, because that's the best ending, too, because, like, they wrecked the grandpa's Cadillac, so they're super nervous about it, because, like, he wrecks it that night, and his mom gets
grandpa's
burned.
borrowing
Yeah,
their car, right?
and they have the grandpa has their car, they have grandpa's car.
Yeah.
So then when his mom goes into labor, and, like, she doesn't want the dad to drive, so he's pissed at, Les, but Les has to drive. The car will only, this is at the end, the car will only go in reverse, so he has to go reverse to the hospital, and then, like, he's forgiven for everything.
Right.
Because,
Well, he could drive backwards.
yeah. Even though he failed the test, lied about it.
Yeah.
Got caught lying about it. Oh, so many good scenes in that movie.
Yeah.
But, so then the grandpa shows up, and he's like, where's my car? They're like, oh, it's all Les's fault, the dad. But he starts laughing because their car shows up and it's just as wrecked. So everything's all forgiven everywhere. And at the end, he goes, hey, Les, you've always wanted a BMW, right? He gives him the key. And he goes, in the best chorus ever, he goes, oh, Dad, actually, I got a Mercedes. And threw the keys back at him. And, like, she shows up in one of those, like, little tiny 80s convertibles. I don't even know what the fuck they're called. But, like, just those little tiny, like, Geo probably something. And scoots over and he gets in. Still with no license.
No license.
Still with no license.
It's the 80s.
Yeah, but he gets in and they drive off.
So he drives off without a license?
Yeah, but he gets the girl and he gets, her car.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for Corey.
Yep.
Corey Haim needed all the good things.
And as like a 10, 11-year-old, you're like, man, yeah, I want to be cool. I want to. Like I said, the second half, though, where like all the crazy shit starts happening, you're like, what?
They always talk about movies that couldn't be made today. Like, they always say, like, Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
But License to Drive probably couldn't be made today because, like, young people, I mean, from the very few that I've interacted with, like, through wrestling training, nobody wants to drive anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody, like, I remember I could not wait to have a driver's license.
I didn't think I'd ever get.
I wanted to be able to go.
Yeah, from like 10 o'clock, from 10, age 10 on. I was like, I'm never going to be 16, I'll never drive. And
Yeah, because I just wanted, like, gas was still only, like, $1 or something.
they're so old.
You could just, like, have change in your
Yeah.
car, and it would pay for your gas to get wherever you, like,
Yeah.
and I just would drive. Like, I wouldn't have anywhere in mind to go.
You'd have a couple buddies. And
Just go play. But now, like, nobody, when we started doing the wrestling training, I mean, we had, like, a bunch of, like, early 20s kids,
yeah.
Some were, like, 17, 18, but anywhere from 17 to, like, 24. And hardly anyone had driver's license. And I was like, you do realize that a big part of wrestling is traveling, right? Like,
I get a ride.
how do you not have a car?
I took classes in school for driving. 11th grade.
Yeah.
Driver's ed was in school.
I only took it for, like, I don't feel like I was in it for more than, like, a week, though.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it was very long.
Like, I don't think it had, like, a
Let's get you out there.
schedule the way that, yeah.
Yeah, you need to watch License to Drive again. I think we should watch it sometime. I got it. Stream it.
Well, I'd love to do, if we could get a movie night together,
Yeah.
I would love to do, like, a live watch-along with License to Drive
Yeah.
as, like, our first showing. But let's take a break.
Number 1.
We'll come back with the rest of Joel's list.
Oh, there's more?
There's 4 more.
Math!
We will be right back after this break. All right, we're back. And if you're so damn good at guitar solos, why don't you rip one out?
Right now?
Right now.
Right here?
Right here.
I didn't bring my guitar.
That's okay. I didn't have it.
Bigly,
Big.
what the fuck?
I was following you up with some
Okay.
bass, I guess. I don't
That was
know.
awful.
We're not talking about music. We're talking about 80s movies.
Yeah, 80s movies.
So we're going to get back into Joel's list. We already talked about
I thought
License
you were
to
just going to
Drive.
get back into Joel. Oh, man. I'm glad you kept going.
Get out of my dreams and get
That
into
movie,
Joel.
that song was in License to Drive.
Yes,
That's how it ended. Get out of my dreams.
Of course it did. How could it not? All right,
I had
next
that
up.
written on my original list. I'm glad you said that. That's why we're so good together.
And here you are during the break saying that we have manufactured chemistry.
You're not supposed to talk about it. What happens in the break stays in the break.
All right, next up, directed by Rob Reiner, written by Stephen King, and featuring one of the two Coreys, Feldman going solo on this one. Stand By Me was released.
Hayden was like, "You take this one.
You got this
You
one.
just go ahead.
I feel like this little story is not going to
cut
be
my ear off.
popular.
Nah, man, that ain't me. That's you.
Stand By Me was released on August 22nd, 1986 by Columbia Pictures.
Kiefer Sutherland.
With an estimated budget of $8 million and a worldwide gross of over $52 million.
The soundtrack is, I have it on CD. It's one of the best soundtracks.
It brought Benny King's Stand By Me back.
Yeah.
Based on King's 1982 novella The Body, the film stars Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, and your boy Jerry O'Connell.
Meow, 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 meow. Jerry O'Connell.
In his film debut.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And Corey.
I mentioned
I
Corey.
know.
Oh,
But I
okay.
had to mention him again.
As four boys who go on a hike to find the dead body of a missing boy.
As boys do.
As boys
As
do.
boys do.
Considered by many to be one of the most influential films of the 80s, as well as one of the greatest films of all time, Stand By Me would go on to win Golden Globe Awards for both Best Motion Picture in the Drama category and for Best Director.
I need it on VHS. If anyone out there is listening and has it, holla at your boy.
I don't think I have.
You don't have it. I would have done taking it.
In the summer of 1959 in Castle Rock, Oregon, four 12-year-old boys, Gordy, played by Will Wheaton, Chris, played by River Phoenix, Teddy, played by Corey Feldman, and Vern, played by
Vern! This fucking comb.
find out that the body of a recently deceased kid around their age, Ray Brower, was recently discovered by Vern's older brother, Billy, out in the woods somewhere, and was most likely still out there somewhere because Billy, who at the time was in a stolen car, refused to report his discovery to the police. Wanting to be heroes in each other's and their hometown's eyes, they set out on their journey. Guns, trains, dogs, leeches, campfire stories about lard-ass Hogan, and the threat of being stabbed by Ace Merrill, played by Kiefer Sutherland,
Oh, so good.
and his gang. Nothing is too big for the boys to overcome except life lessons and a shared experience that bonds them forever. Deciding that no one will get credit for discovering Ray Brower's body, Gordy and his friends ultimately realized that finding a dead body wasn't what they were hoping to discover, but rather, it was themselves that they were searching for all along.
Oh, yeah. It was the narrated. It was like one of the good 80s narration movies.
It was narrated and bookended by Richard Dreyfuss as the grown-up adult version of Gordy. The film begins with Dreyfuss reading a newspaper article about a fatal stabbing, which leads him to reminisce about the adventure he went on with his friends all those years ago. The film ends with Dreyfuss wrapping everything up and catching us, the viewer, up with what happened to his friends, stating that Teddy and Vern grew distant over the years. Vern married straight out of high school, had 4 children, and became a forklift driver at a lumber yard. Teddy attempted to join the army but was rejected due to his poor eyesight and ear injury. He eventually served some jail time and performed odd jobs around Castle Rock. Chris managed to stick it out in school with Gordy, and went to college to become a lawyer. However, it's revealed that he was stabbed and killed when he tried to break up a fight in a fast food restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Bringing us full circle back to the article that Dreyfuss was reading at the start of the film.
Bomb, bomb, bomb! Shit, I don't think I ever used to realize that as a kid.
The film ends with Gordy finishing a memoir he's been writing about his childhood and leaving to take his son and one of his son's friends swimming. Rob Reiner considers this the best film he has ever made, and Rotten Tomatoes likely agrees, as Stand By Me currently holds a 92% fresh rating.
Okay.
And on their site with a 94% audience score.
Nice.
Stand By Me
Who couldn't like that?
It's one of the best movies ever. It's currently streaming on Sling and is available, DVD, Blu-ray, VHS. Definitely could have been on my list. That was a big movie for me too when I was a kid in the 80s.
Watching that, yeah. Just wanted to go on a little adventure.
Never forget the leech scene.
Yeah.
Never forget
the cold scene
on the train tracks where
Yeah.
he's like, "Move train." He's standing on it for way too long.
Yeah.
He could have at any time probably moved. But I know, like, as a kid, if you found out there was something, like, I don't know, dead body.
Yeah.
Specifically, but if you found out there was something out in, like, the woods or, like,
You'd want to go.
there was an adventure,
Yeah.
yeah, you were all in.
Like, it didn't, like, the main guy's older brother die or something? Was that part of it?
Corey or Will Wheaton's.
Or was that? Maybe I'm thinking of. No, that wasn't.
No,
it.
Will Wheaton's brother had died like in a car crash.
Okay, yeah, something like that.
I forget who his brother was played by.
John Cusack.
John Cusack.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And he'd given him his hat.
Yep. Yeah, and then the bullies
Ace
took
takes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will Wheaton is so good in that. Whole cast.
It really is one of the best movies ever made.
That's 86, so I'd probably definitely watch that at like 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah, I figure I probably watched it like 89.
That was
88,
everywhere.
89.
That was everywhere.
All right, next up. If you didn't think Back to the Future was going to make this list, you can make like a tree and get out of here.
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox plays Marty McFly, a typical teenager with a knack for adventure. Marty's best
He
friend.
ain't no chicken.
He ain't no chicken. Don't call him a chicken.
Don't even fucking. That's not even a chicken noise. You don't make any bird noise.
Marty's best friend is the eccentric scientist
That's
Dr.
kind of
Emmett
weird.
Brown,
We don't have to get into that.
a.k.a. Doc, played by Christopher Lloyd. Marty lives in Hill Valley, California, with his depressed alcoholic mother, Lorraine, played by Leah Thompson, his older siblings, who are professional and social failures, and his meek father, George, played by Crispin Glover, who's bullied by his supervisor, Biff Tannen, played by Tom Wilson. After Marty's band fails a music audition, he confides in his girlfriend, Jennifer Parker, that he fears becoming like his parents despite his ambitions. There's a scene, and I forgot about it until I was kind of reading some stuff for it. And I was reading like a little review, and there's a scene with him and his girlfriend after he fails the band audition, and he's talking to her, and they're talking about like him sneaking out, or he told his parents that he was going to a friend's house, that way he could go like with her, and like they've already like established that they're a couple because they go in for a kiss a couple times, but then her dad shows up right as they're about to kiss again, and she grabs paper that he has like a flyer for Save the Clock Tower.
Yeah.
And she writes her phone number on it and then writes "love you" and hands it to him. But like if they're already like this far along,
shouldn't she have the number?
Why would he just not be getting her phone number? That night, Marty
she has trust issues.
meets Doc in the Twin Pines.
Let her go at her own speed.
Okay.
It's not up to you.
Look, I'm with you. That night, Marty meets Doc in the Twin Pines mall parking lot, and Doc unveils a time machine built from a modified DeLorean powered by plutonium that he had swindled from Libyan terrorists. What a setup.
What an 80s sentence.
After Doc inputs a destination time of November 5th, 1955, the terrorists arrive unexpectedly and gun Doc down.
Yep. He dead.
Marty flees in the DeLorean, inadvertently activating time travel when he reaches
88 miles per hour.
That's right. Desperate to get back to the future and fix the timeline, but without the necessary plutonium to do so, Marty encounters a younger version of his parents. But here's the catch. He inadvertently interferes with the first meeting, jeopardizing his very existence. Now, Marty must find a way to bring his parents together while also avoiding the romantic advances of his own mother.
What a great idea. Great for a movie, man.
With the clock ticking, he seeks the help of the younger Doc Brown, who's initially skeptical of his wild tale. Together, they hatch a plan to reunite Marty's parents and get him back to the future using lightning to power the DeLorean back to the future. Maneuvering through high school dances, fast-paced chases, and a lightning storm that holds the key to his return, Marty races against time to ensure his own existence and restore the timeline. Along the way, he learns valuable lessons about family, courage, and the importance of embracing your own destiny. Released on July 3rd, 1985 by Universal Pictures and Amblin Entertainment with an estimated budget of $19 million, Back to the Future would go on to gross, you got a guess?
200 million.
More.
300.
More.
500.
Less.
420 million.
$400 million worth.
Wow.
It has solidified its spot in our pop culture, leaving behind a legacy that includes 2 sequels, a theme park.
There's 2 sequels?
Theme park ride. Toys, video games, board games, comic books, novels, and an animated show that spanned 26 episodes across 2 seasons that aired from September 14th, 91 to December 26th, 92.
I don't remember the cartoon.
I barely. I mostly remember the
toys.
The cover. Or like the
I remember
logo.
Burger King toys. I don't know if that has anything to do with cartoons.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think the cartoon had because of course it did. It was an 80s cartoon or it was a 90s cartoon. But I think it gave them like a little like sidekick guy, alien.
I didn't want anything to do with any Back to the Future made in the 90s. The movie, the cartoons, none of it.
Yeah. it all kind of went to shit.
Just leave it alone at 2.
Video games terrible.
Yeah.
For the Nintendo.
But the first 2 movies, the first
Great.
movie especially, they're on my list.
Back to the Future was a critical success, garnering positive reviews and receiving 4 nominations at the 43rd Golden Globes. Best Motion Picture for a Musical or Comedy. Best Actor in a Motion Picture, Musical comedy. And that was for Michael J. Fox. Best Original Song, The Power of Love.
Yeah, with Huey Lewis, who was in the movie.
Who was one of the judges.
Yep, for the band thing.
And Best Screenplay by Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis. Impressive for a script that had been rejected 44 times.
Great Scott! 44 times?
Greenlit. People passed on it 44 times.
They're like, yeah, well, he's kissing his mom. We don't want to film
He's
that.
friends with an old man.
Yeah.
His mom's trying to bang him. Yeah, it's a lot of weird stuff going on. Directed by Robert Zemeckis, written by Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale. Back to the Future is a beloved film and currently holds a 97% rating on Rotten Tomatoes Tomato Meter with a 94% audience score.
And I bet the second one has 90% approval.
It's probably up
too.
there.
Yeah.
Numerous special editions are available on DVD and Blu-ray, and the movie is currently available to stream on Freevee.
Yeah, I got a good Blu-ray set of all of them.
Yeah, let's see what the Back to the Future 2...
And I bet the third's like in the 60%. I just can't get into the third. I've watched it dozens of times. I wanted to love it, but it's just I can't. The first and second one are so good. I don't think anything the third one could have done could have held up to them.
Let's see. Part 2 came out in 89. It has a...
That's in the 80s.
63%.
Wow, that low? 63?
On the tomato meter and an 85% audience score.
All right, yeah, 85.
And then let's see
God,
how far the third one drops.
Man, it must be 30 and 50% then.
Back to the Future 3.
Curly's Gold.
Wow.
Yes.
On the tomato meter.
Uh-huh. Is it higher than the second one?
80%.
What?
With a 78% audience score.
What?
That is crazy.
So,
It's 17% fresher than Part 2.
Seemed to like 3 over 2. These must be the
people liked it
These
less.
must be the...
Critics liked it more.
Yeah. Wait, so people like 3 less, but the critics liked it more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the audience liked Part 2 by 85% audience score.
How can the critics see Part 2 then Part 3? It's a rehash of a rehash.
Yeah.
It's like my idea of 3 fried beans. Yeah, beans,
Yes.
refried beans. Why would you motherfucking 3 fried beans?
Oh, no, the cartoon gives them a dog. It's Einstein. The dog is a character.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Sidekick
Einstein.
character. Yeah, it came out in 91.
Fuck the 90s.
Did not have Michael J. Fox.
What year were you born?
83.
83. I lived through every year of the 80s, son. You young whippersnapper.
Sorry.
You better don't talk to me in that
I
tone.
have to go back to the future now.
Don't talk to me in that tone. All right. Yeah, Back to the Future 1 and 2. They're both on my list. I snuck another one in. Ha ha ha! Top 6!
These days, movies based on popular comic books are released seemingly every other week. But in 89, aside from Superman, their impact on pulp culture had barely made a dent. There had been numerous films with ties to comic books, dating all the way back to 1937's The Shadow Strikes, based on the story Ghost of the Manor, written by Walter B. Gibson, under the pen name Maxwell Grant. The Shadow was featured on a popular radio show and also as a pulp magazine crime fighter. In 72, Tales from the Crypt got the movie treatment. 78, saw Superman hit the big screen.
72, there was a Tales from the Crypt movie?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm.
1972.
1972.
The year of our Lord.
1872.
1972. There was a Tales from the Crypt. I mean, there was Tales from the Crypt movies in the 90s, but there wasn't a Tales from the Crypt movie in 1972.
Tales from the Crypt.
1972?
1972.
1972.
I don't know if it is based on the show.
Oh yeah.
So I may have lied about it being based on a comic book, too.
But I mean, is the show based on the
over
comic
there.
book? Okay. All right, I'm sorry. Go on.
It's got Joan Collins, Peter Cushing. No, I think it is based on the show.
So it has a little guy.
Maybe not. Only 2 stories of the movie, Reflection of Death and Blind Alleys, originally appeared in EC Comics. Oh, so this is based on the comics Tales from the Crypt, which the show would later be based on.
Yeah, I had a couple of those comics.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Call me a liar. Swamp Thing came out in 1982,
Watched it.
and Marvel's Howard the Duck thrilled and terrified yours truly in 1986.
Yeah, I bet that's on your list.
By the time Superman 4 was released in 87, there had been dozens and dozens of comic book-based movies released in the theaters and on television, but none changed the landscape like 1989's Batman.
I mean, I could never get into Superman movies. Like, I watched them.
I have always hated Superman,
Yeah.
everything related to him.
I don't really.
He's
I've
too
never-
overpowered.
Yeah,
Like, nothing matters in a Superman story. Like,
I watched them. I remember the three people that all wore black, and I mean, I remember. The
I definitely
movie.
have watched them.
Yeah.
I just,
But yeah, what you're about to say though, that
I've never cared about
set my
Superman,
80s.
though. But yeah, 1989, Batman comes out, directed by Tim Burton,
Yeah.
and released on June 23rd by Warner Brothers. Batman grossed over $400 million worldwide.
Jesus. I went to the theater at least twice.
I
to
definitely
watch
saw it in
it.
the theaters.
In the 80s, yeah. So obviously it came out in the summer '89.
Yeah, it had an estimated budget of $35 million, starring Michael Keaton as Batman, Bruce Wayne, Jack Nicholson as Joker, and Kim Basinger as Vicky Vale. The film takes place in Gotham, a city in crime and corruption, drowning in crime and corruption, that's plagued by the emergence of the enigmatic Batman, a vigilante disguised as a bat who strikes fears into the hearts of criminals. Meanwhile, the Joker, a sadistic and an unhinged criminal mastermind, wreaks havoc with his deadly pranks and wicked laughter. As Batman battles the Joker, we discover the roots of their bitter rivalry. The Joker's origins are revealed, tracing back to a tragic accident that transformed him into the chaos-loving clown we know today. With his twisted sense of humor and army of goons at his disposal, the Joker sets out to not only challenge Batman, but also unleash chaos upon Gotham City. I love the reveal scene.
Yeah, but he's just face painted.
It's really just, he just bleached his skin. Amidst this clash of dark and light, Batman finds an unexpected ally in the resourceful and clever reporter Vicky Vale. Together they navigate the treacherous streets of Gotham and strive to uncover Joker's ultimate plan. With its mesmerizing visuals, brooding atmosphere, and captivating performances, Batman offers a unique and gritty take on the beloved superhero. Michael Keaton shines as the tormented Bruce Wayne, while Jack Nicholson's portrayal of the Joker is a captivating blend of madness and malevolence. Tim Burton's Batman presents a dark and stylish vision of the beloved superhero, bringing to life the complex characters and the hauntingly beautiful Gotham City. So fasten your utility belts and get ready to be immersed in the gothic tale of vengeance, justice, and the eternal struggle between good and evil. Keaton's casting as Batman was controversial at the time, as he was known primarily as a comedic actor.
Yeah.
Also, he wasn't a big...
Mr. Mom.
He really wasn't a big guy.
No.
Nicholson,
I could take him.
You could beat the shit out of Michael Keaton.
Right now, even.
Today.
Bring it on, Mike. I like you. You're my favorite Batman.
Nicholson was known for his roles in films like Easy Rider, Chinatown, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and The Shining.
And The Shining.
And having already been nominated multiple times for Best Supporting Actor and Best Actor, winning that award in '76 for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, he accepted the role of the Joker under strict conditions that he dictated top billing, a portion of the film's earnings, including associated merchandise, and had his own shooting schedule. Robin Williams had initially been offered the role of Joker after Nicholson was hesitant to accept it, but once Nicholson agreed to
What
it,
a prick.
Williams was released and was left feeling like he'd been used as bait.
Oh.
In the months
poor
before,
Robin Williams.
I would love to have seen the, I wish they would have shot both versions.
Yeah. Like how they did they shot like a little bit of Back to the Future with a different Marty McFly.
Yeah, I forget the guy's name.
Oh, yeah, me too. Eric Roberts.
No.
Yeah.
Stoltz.
Stoltz. Oh,
Eric
yeah,
Stoltz.
yeah, Eric Stoltz.
Apparently everybody hated him.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't work with him. In the months before Batman's release in June '89, a popular culture phenomena known as Batmania began.
It was like the first movie to be dark like that. Dark and like...
It was like the first dark superhero.
It was like dark and colorful, if that makes sense.
Because the Joker is just like bright.
Yeah, it was so good, man.
Over $750 million worth of merchandise was sold. A marketing research group called Marketing Evaluation Incorporated assessed Batman's box office potential, and they concluded that it was going to be a flop. So, if you go back to the future in time, don't hire them as your marketing company.
I feel like that was a movie, too, I think I got for Christmas that year on VHS. Because if it came out in June, I'm sure it was on VHS by that Christmas.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, because I watched that movie a ton.
With a marketing campaign including 4 collectible cups from Taco Bell, a soundtrack album from Prince, the yellow bat symbol
Party like it's
plastered
1999.
literally almost everywhere, The 89 film revolutionized the way films capitalized and marketed and merchandised opportunities. Video games, toys, t-shirts, costumes, school supplies, cereal, the list goes on and on. Batman led to numerous sequels that turned into numerous reboots that are still being released today. The 89 film has a rating currently on Rotten Tomatoes of 74%, with an audience score of 84%, and can be streamed right now on Max.
Or seen at my house on VHS.
Or my house on VHS.
I have these top 5 except for what the movie you're about to say and Stand By Me I need on VHS.
Batman was definitely like one of my favorites. Like it was on my list originally. Then when I saw it was on yours, I was like, okay, I can.
People cheered in the theater when the Batmobile came on and stuff.
So cool. Everything about it was awesome.
Yep.
I do remember the Batmobile, like Matchbox car, whoever put it out.
I had some of the toys. I had like a Joker toy, Batman toy.
Then a lot of the merchandise I remember was from the sequels. Because I remember McDonald's had the glasses with the characters on them for Batman Forever, I think, because it had the characters etched in them.
Is that the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
It was whatever one had Riddler and
Two-Face. Yeah, I watched them all, and I have the first, from '89, that one plus the next 3 on VHS. But
the McDonald's glasses were like the characters like popped off of them, and were etched. Yeah, I remember those. I remember a lot of the Batman stuff from like after the first one, as far as the marketing goes. I do remember the Batman cereal though. It just looked like the VHS cover.
Yeah.
Batman's fucking amazing. I still can't believe people thought
it was going to do bad.
Yeah. Like,
especially because Superman was pretty popular. I mean, I never got into it, but the Superman movies did pretty good, I thought.
And then now in the new Flash movie coming out, Michael Keaton returns as Batman, which is pretty awesome.
So wait, the Flash actor, is that the guy that's like problematic?
Yeah.
And he's in the movie too?
Yeah, like they were going to like not release it. And then I think it died. I think like all the controversy died down enough that they're like, all right, let's just throw it out there.
Yeah,
Michael Keaton, because they're focusing a lot on the Michael Keaton and like other characters,
and like the Supergirl, I think too.
Yeah, so they're
because I've never seen the Flash, but I know that Ezra Miller or something. He's like done some really.
Yeah, I never watched.
He's done some shit.
I never watched Justice League.
No,
I tried to watch Batman versus Superman.
It's awful.
4 times. I fell asleep all 4 times.
Yeah, it took me a couple times to get through it.
Yeah. For the most part,
I like Christian Bale's Batman. I mean, I like those movies. I go back and watch those.
I loved the.
I hated the Batman with Chris O'Donnell as Robin.
Oh no! Okay, I loved the one with Robert Pattinson.
The Batman. I've only watched it the one time. I didn't hate it, but it's just.
It was long though.
It's so long and dark. Yeah, and it's just like super slow paced.
But it's everything I love, like in a Batman comic. Like it focuses so much on the detective part.
Yeah.
So. All right, next up on the list, RoboCop was conceived in the early 80s by Universal Pictures junior story executive and aspiring screenwriter Edward Newmere. A fan of robot-themed science fiction films such as Star Wars, as well as action films, Newmere had developed an interest in mature comic books while researching them for potential adaptations. The 82 science fiction film Blade Runner was filming on the Warner Brothers parking lot behind his office, and he unofficially joined the production to learn about filmmaking. His work there gave him the idea for RoboCop. He said, quote, I had this vision of a far distant Blade Runner type world where there was an all-mechanical cop coming to a sense of real human intelligence. He spent the next few nights writing a 40-page outline. While researching story submissions
cocaine
Universal, he came across a student video by aspiring director Michael Miner. The pair met and discussed their similar concepts. Newmere's RoboCop and Miner's robot-themed rock music video. I couldn't find what music video that was. The pair formed a working partnership and spent about 2 months discussing the idea, plus 2 to 3 months writing together at night and over weekends. That's how most things in the 80s got made. They did all of this while holding regular jobs. Their collaboration was initially difficult because they did not know each other well and had to learn how to constructively criticize each other. Newmere was...
See, I can just criticize you all the fuck I want. It's just... You cry about later, you know, and you criticize me, and I cry about later, but it's fine.
It works.
Yeah, you dumb fuck. Go on.
I know what you mean, you fucking asshole. Your stupid shirt.
Okay, that's enough. Me and my girlfriend tie-dyed this shirt, and I love it. Look, it says, I've got your back, and there's stink people, and the one stink person grabbed the other person's back.
Great, so you're celebrating violence.
Yeah, my dad got me this shirt twice. He got it for me once in black and then in white, and then we tie-dyed it.
Glad you got it all covered.
So you leave my shirt out of it.
All right, I won't talk about your stupid
Thank
shirt
you.
anymore. Numero was influenced to kill off his main character early on by the psychological horror film Psycho, whose heroine was killed in the first act. Inspired by comic books and his personal experience with pop culture, or corporate culture, Numero wanted to satirize 80s business culture, noting the increasing aggression of American financial services in response to a growing Japanese influence, and that a popular book on Wall Street was the Book of Five Rings, a 17th century text discussing how to kill more effectively. He also believed that Detroit's declining automobile industry was due to increased bureaucracy. Miner described the film as comic relief for a cynical time during the presidency of Ronald Reagan. A spec script was completed by December 1984. I do like that he was on the Universal lot working on something else. Like He was the junior story executive. And he just decided to, I'm just going to unofficially join this production team of Blade Runner. I'm a part of this now.
It was the 80s, man. Shit was wild.
That led to the film being released on July 17, 1987 by Orion Pictures with an estimated budget of $13 million. It would go on to gross over $53 million worldwide. In RoboCop, we follow the journey of Alex Murphy, a dedicated police officer who was brutally murdered in the line of duty.
Brutally. That's what I remember. I'm watching that movie. We rented it. I remember my dad found a beta machine in the trash on the Air Force Base. And he was excited. That's probably where I get it from. So he brought it home, and we went to I remember we went and rented this, and I think Fletch. Ooh. But I just remember watching this and how brutal that felt. Oh my! Okay, we get it.
They just keep shooting him, right?
Just keep shooting them, but no one shoots them in the face.
Right.
They're nipples down. That's the rule.
Now, do they shoot him in the dick, or does he shoot a guy in the dick later?
As RoboCop, he shoots the guy in the dick because the guy's got the girl in front of him with the dress, and her legs are kind of spread. And I guess he must be
shoots
shorter.
Through the dress, yeah.
He shoots through the dress, and then does the beep boop bop bop where he spins the gun, and it goes into his leg. I don't know why he does. He's not a Transformer. He's baby food.
That'd be a great
RoboCop Transformer
reboot to make today.
Fuck yeah! It would squish whatever's inside left of him though.
So hold on to your helmets, because that's just the beginning. Murphy's remains are transformed into the ultimate crime-fighting machine by Omni Consumer Products, a powerful corporation with a vision for a safer Detroit. Enter RoboCop, a cyborg law enforcement officer armed with state-of-the-art weaponry and programmed to uphold justice.
Hell yeah!
As RoboCop takes to the crime-infested streets...
This is a guitar solo.
Yeah. He begins to uncover a web of corruption and betrayal within the very organization that created him. Along the way, he clashes with a rogue gang led by the sadistic Clarence Boddicker, a dangerous criminal who will stop at nothing to assert his dominance.
Or Red from the 70s show. What's his name? Something Smith.
Shit, I forget. Woodyer Smith?
I don't. Okay, I'll look it up. You go.
Here's where things get interesting. As RoboCop investigates his own past and the truth behind his transformation, he discovers flashes of his previous life as Alex Murphy. Embracing his humanity, not humidity.
I'm embracing the humidity today.
Amidst the metal and circuitry, he seeks justice not only for himself, but also for the innocent victims of crimes. Did you figure out his name? Kurtwood, yeah. With explosive action sequences, intense shootouts, and a hefty dose of satirical social commentary, RoboCop delivers a gripping tale of redemption.
When the guy drove into the acid and his eyes all hanging out. That stuck with me.
It is pretty fucking violent.
That stuck with me.
Peter Weller's performance as RoboCop strikes the perfect balance between machine-like efficiency and glimpses of the man trapped within the robotic shell. As the bullets fly...
Aren't we all just men trapped inside a robotic shell?
I feel like that every day.
Exactly, man.
And I mean, the way AI is right now.
I'm a robo-man.
We're all going to be dead.
Cool.
So, as the bullets fly, the city burns. RoboCop must confront his own inner demons and navigate a treacherous landscape of power-hungry executives, corrupt cops, and ruthless criminals. In the midst of it all, he discovers the true power of humanity and the importance of fighting for justice, no matter the cost. RoboCop opened to generally positive reviews, which surprises me.
Yeah.
I feel like looking back, like that was a movie that...
What's the release date of that? Do you have it? That feels like I don't know why.
It was released...
or was that a summer one?
87, July 17th,
July,
1987.
okay, so it was summer. I probably watched it by that winter then.
Critics noticed influences of the film from the action of The Terminator and Aliens, and the narratives of Frankenstein, Repo Man, and the television series Miami Vice. RoboCop built a distinct, futuristic vision for Detroit. wrote 2 reviewers as Blade Runner had done for Los Angeles. Multiple critics struggled to identify the film's genre, though, writing that it combined social satire and philosophy with elements of action, science fiction, thrillers, westerns, slapstick comedy, romance, snuff films, superhero comics, and campy 80s movies.
Get a movie that can do it all.
Many reviewers discussed the film's violent content. The violence was so excessive for Ebert and the Los Angeles Times that it became deliberately comical. Other reviewers were more critical, including Kerr and Walter Goodman, who believed RoboCop's satire and critiques of corporate corruption were excuses to indulge in violent visuals. Ultimately, though, RoboCop still remains a popular part of our culture, producing sequels, an animated series, which, that's hilarious.
The what?
There's an animated series.
Oh, my God.
Video games, toys, clothing, multiple
I remember I
DVD
played
and
the
Blu-rays.
shit out of the video game. There's like 3 movies, right? And
Yeah.
then the reboot with
the
Michael
reboot.
Keaton.
No.
I'm pretty sure Michael Keaton.
Oh, is he like a...
He's
Joel
one of the
Kinnaman
executives.
plays...
He's like one of the
Okay,
executives.
Joel Kinnaman plays RoboCop.
Yeah.
There's also a comic book. RoboCop currently sits on the tomato meter with... This was shocking to me. What do you think it was rated? What do you think it's rated?
By critics,
Yeah, this is the critics rating.
35%.
91%.
Wow!
Yeah.
I mean, there's a good story to it with this family and the
I mean,
son,
I would have
and
guessed like
he's
67.
flashing back. Yeah, I figure with all that violence, I mean, that shooting scene. I watched it recently, probably in the last year or so, and I'm just like, okay, like how does that not kill him?
And then they made it a cartoon. So it has a 91% rating
Wow.
on the tomato meter with an audience score of 84%. You can stream it right now on Prime Video, the Roku channel, and for free with ads on Tubi. So those are Joel's top 5 movies. RoboCop, Batman, Back to the Future,
Part 1 and 2.
Stand By Me, and License to Drive.
Yeah.
So what would you rank them in order if you
I had
to?
the order. Number 5 was RoboCop, 4 Batman, 3 Back to the Future, 2 Stand By Me, and 1 License to Drive.
Okay, so when you sent it to me, I think you sent them the way you ranked them then.
Yeah, probably.
Because I started with the top one, went down.
Like I said, Ferris Bueller, I feel like could be on that list, but I think with License to Drive, I needed to pick betwixt them.
I think with our list, it definitely shows the 3-year age gap.
Yeah.
Because you were already like 3 years ahead of me, so like you were already at the age in the middle of the 80s that I was by like the 90s, where I started to like pay more attention to movies and kind of. So my list definitely has more animated, more like kid.
And I was watching a YouTube thing about the Transformer movie, and after watching, I was like, wow, I've been watching that a lot.
So the Transformers movie, you remember? You remember they kill?
Yeah, Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime.
Spoiler.
That got a lot of negative feedback.
They brought him back in the series like 2 months later.
But it changed the G.I. Joe movie.
Uh-huh.
Because in the G.I. Joe movie, originally Duke dies. Remember when? Have you watched the G.I. Joe movie?
I haven't seen it in a long time. I mean, I remember like the Snake Man, Sergeant Slaughter. I mean, I was a big G.I. Joe kid, but
so the snake guy,
so
Serpentor.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the movie, he throws a snake and it plunges into Duke's heart. And in the original movie script and everything, or even they already finished it.
Yeah.
Duke dies, and like you hear over Scarlett says like he's gone.
Yeah.
Well, in the movie, they went in and overdubbed her saying he's gone with a announcement over a intercom thing.
Yeah.
Being like at the very end of the movie, being like, "Hey, good news, Joes. Duke's gonna make it."
G.I. Joe!
So yeah, because after Optimus Prime, people were like, "Yeah, no, you can't just be fucking killing."
They thought that they could just kill him off and like the kids are just gonna buy the new one. Which Hot Rod was pretty cool, the one they replaced him with. But that was.
I never was able to get into Transformers.
My brothers were, so that helped me a lot. But like G.I. Joe was my thing. I got into on my own, and then I just always had Transformers too because they were into them.
I've always been against robots because I always knew
I
what
know.
those sons of bitches had planned for us.
And of course, that's why you hate RoboCop so much.
But yeah, I do. We'll be back with part 2 where we'll do my top 5.
Part 2.
You'll definitely see where there's a little bit of the age difference shows. But
You're
yeah,
just a young whippersnapper.
if you're listening to this, you're in the area where we're in Parkersburg. If you're in our area, let us know if you'd be interested in doing a movie night. We were actually talking about getting with our buddy Aaron over at Monstrous Horde in Marietta.
Yeah.
Seeing if he would want to do like a movie night and VHS swap. because we both have plenty of VHS tapes,
Yeah.
and we're sure other people do.
I got a
So you could
couple.
bring anything you're willing to trade. Maybe we can make some deals. But then we do like a live watch along. We'd start with License to Drive.
We could talk over it.
Have a good time. Yeah, we'll just talk over it. I mean, I don't think we're going to miss
No.
the plot. I'm pretty sure we can follow it.
I'm going to woo every time a Corey's on screen.
It's going to be a lot
Like
of
Saved by the Bell, where like two of the characters kiss, and I was like,
Woo! So you can only do it when they're both on screen.
Corey's!
Yeah, you can only do it when both Corys are on screen.
Well, that's a lot of the movie.
That's most of the movie. All right, let us know what you thought about Joel's top 5 picks. Guess what
I'm
you
Corey
think.
Haim, you're Corey Feldman. If we were going to be Corey's.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah, that's how it is, though. I'm sorry.
Okay. I feel bad.
Well, yeah, you
I
should.
don't know if I feel bad or not. I mean, I'm still alive.
Yeah, you're still alive.
What happened?
Oh, you're still
What happened to Corey
alive. I think just drugs.
Was it drugs?
I mean, maybe like sickness that came from. I think it had something to do with just a hard life.
I mean, I'd probably look.
Because they've come out later and said like they both were put through the Hollywood ringer.
Yeah, I haven't watched that.
The Corey's documentary.
Yeah, but
I've watched it.
I heard it's pretty bad.
Bad for those guys.
He died at 38 years old.
38. Fuck.
Los Angeles police initially stated that
Let's bring
Haim's
it down.
death.
It's right at the end of the episode. Let's just bring it all the way down. Yeah.
Initially, I thought it was an accidental overdose. He died of diffusive alveolar damage and pneumonia, together with a couple other things. His death was ruled a natural death.
Okay.
As the question whether of drugs were involved, the coroner stated the toxicology report revealed no significant contributing factor.
So he could have just been doing drugs.
He definitely had some heavy drug use, though, in his
Yeah.
life. What were his other?
He was like in Crank 2, remember? Like he showed up all surprisingly in Crank 2 and did a really good job as that pimp.
Was he?
Yeah, he was in Crank 2, man. He was
So he started
I
out...
always he was just he was that Zach Morris vibe, we're just like he always like his mouth was always open, he's just like huh?
He was in Silver Bullet.
Yeah, Silver Bullet, man. I always put that on my list. I was thinking of that movie. He was in the wheelchair with Gary Busey, I think.
Gary Busey.
Yeah, that was such a good movie.
Watchers.
I don't remember that.
Prayer of the Roller Boys. Fast Getaway.
I remember Lucas.
Yeah, Lucas, Murphy's Romance.
I think I have that movie that you just said. I think I found it on VHS.
Fast Getaway?
Yeah.
Dream Machine, Oh What a Night, The Double O Kid, Anything for Love, Fast Getaway 2. Man, he did not. He was in Batman and Robin. Oh, he was uncredited as a biker gang member in Batman and Robin, the one with Arnold.
Well, at least he got in there. I'll have to
Then
watch
he didn't do
that.
anything till 2002.
Just drugs.
The Backlot Murders. I watched that, actually. That was goddamn terrible. Dickie Roberts, former child star.
Oh, that's cool.
Lost Boys the Tribe, Crank High Voltage. Last thing he did was a movie called The Dead Sea.
I'll have to watch it, man. R.I.P. Corey.
2 movies came out after he died. Decisions and The Dead Sea.
Well, Weekend at Bernie's or something? How's that going to work? Because they're using his dead body. This is a good ending.
That's good.
Talking about dead dude.
But yeah, let us know what you liked in the 80s.
Yeah.
Guess what you think my top 5 are.
Uh-huh.
Whatever you want to do. Share,
We're not
like,
your boss.
follow, do all that stuff. Thanks for listening. And go rent a damn movie
Yeah.
from Joel Buster.
VHS.